Okay, so we're here with friend of the channel, absolute YouTube legend, Adam P. We're here before the Aston Villa game. It's before the January transfer window. What I want to ask you is not what are you hoping, but what's your realistic expectation for our budget in January?
Well, I think Newcastle's budget's not always clear and cut. It's not a case that we've got £50 million to spend or £100 million to spend. I think it's always the case that Newcastle will only spend if they see A, an option that's good for us, and B, if it's an option that will be long term a good deal for Newcastle to make. Now, last transfer window, of course, Newcastle had a bad window, to be honest. They spent weeks chasing Mark Gay. That was the player we wanted at the time. That was because of the Sven Botman injury. I think the chances of going back in for Gay again, I mean, I wouldn't say we're impossible. I think we probably will check him out, but the reality is I probably don't think we're going to focus on him, especially if you were to ask me now, anyone watching.
Not for that price as well.
Yeah. What players would you go for? There's a lot of strikers out there. There's winger options. I think backup goalkeeper Newcastle's going to need, especially if Dubravka was to be sorted in this window. So going into it, I don't think centre half anymore is a main priority of Newcastle. So in terms of how much money we've got to spend, I don't think it's a clear answer. I think it's just if Newcastle sees an option, they'll go out and buy. But it has to be a good option, though. Newcastle, we can't fall into this trap of overspend just to get somebody in rather than for the long term of the club just trying to find a deal that's going to work with us. So it'll be hard to find that. I haven't got any expectations, to be honest, going in the window, and I feel like for everyone watching this, well, that's probably the key message to take away from this. Yes, be positive. Yes, of course. Look, they've been good players, but I don't have the expectations. I don't think people probably should either.
Well, I mean, the only nugget that I've managed to take out is during a press conference, Eddie Howe says he's going to have to sell to buy big, which means he probably doesn't have to sell to buy mid-level or whatever. Did you take anything from that? Is that a little bit of a budget, do you reckon?
Well, yeah, obviously you've always got to look at the Pearson and the FFP. The reality is, again, Newcastle hasn't sold much. Minter and Anderson were sold, yes, but they were sold because of the PSR crisis that we had. They still aren't the sellable assets that we're being able to get from the club. And as much as I don't want to say, the reality is I think Newcastle probably is one big sale away from really being able to take off in the transfer window. Look at a team like Aston Villa today. They sold Jack Grealish for £100 million to Man City. Look at the players they brought in since that sale. A team like West Ham, they sold Declan Rice. Again, look at the players they brought in to be able to rejuvenate that squad. And that's probably as much as I don't want to say this FFP garbage, to be honest, but that's probably the issue Newcastle has. They just haven't had that a massive big sale yet. So eventually, whenever it is a Gordon, a Bruno, and a Saka or Botman, whichever one it may be, once one of them goes, they get just a huge chunk of money in for them. Then I feel like Newcastle will have something to work with. The reality is now, players that will probably get rid of in the next 6 months, Miggy, you might get £10 million if you're lucky for him. Wilson, you'll not get a penny. To be fair, from what they made out on social media, you will get maybe £1 million in for him, which is probably good for a 36-year-old goalkeeper. Other than that, though, Hayden, nothing. Jamal Lewis, nothing. You just aren't going to get anything for these players. So, again, that's just what's holding Newcastle back. We can't bring these big players in, especially in this January window, because of this FFP rubbish. But I feel like the summer window, depending on where Newcastle finish, for one, but the summer window probably sounds like Newcastle, even with perhaps not any major sales, it does sound like the window where Newcastle would be able to go out there and probably get a big player in.
Yeah, speaking of major sales as well, one player who refuses to go away is Isak to Arsenal. That link is just every single week. Saka's ruled out, possibly long term, we don't know, it's obviously a hamstring. Can you see that move happening?
No, I still don't think he would go to Arsenal, to be honest. Again, with all due respect to Arsenal, they still are a step behind Liverpool. They still are, even though definitely not in the league table. I still think City's probably the more favourable move for a striker to make, I would say. The thing with Arsenal, I just don't think Isak would go there, to be honest. I don't know if I'm thinking too much into it, but I just don't think he'll leave to go to Arsenal. I don't think it'll happen this window. I think it's important, I must say it's important Newcastle gets European football this season. If we don't have any form of European football going into next season, the likes of Isak, yes, I think will probably leave the club. So it's very important for us to make sure that we do our job. And obviously for Isak on a personal level, it's important for him to keep scoring those goals. He's been good at the minute. The reality is he's our only striker, so if he gets injured or he drops off in form, we are knackered this season. So we need to make sure we keep Isak doing well. He's done phenomenal so far. Again, he's already in double figures, as you expect of a player, his quality. But if he can keep the goals coming in, Newcastle, I don't want to say we're easy to get European football, but realistically we will get European football. So it's important for us to do our job. It's important for the likes of Isak. A lot of demand for him. It's important for him to do his job as well.
Yeah, and I've got a list here. Now, we did a video a few months ago This is players whose contracts are up. Now, a lot of these players, surprisingly, are still on the list, and we're literally a few days away from January, okay? So, the first one, 27 years old, is Longstaff. Are you surprised the club have let it get to 6 months? Do you think they'll sell, or do you think they'll extend?
You've got to keep the likes of Longstaff. I know straight away some people might go, why Longstaff? We've got Bruno, we've got Joe Linton, we've got Tonali. Well, not every player at this football club is going to be at the levels of Tonali and Joe Linton, whoever it may be. You always need players that are going to be there for squad depth, players that... We want ideally some local lads who, of course, know what the fans want, know what everyone inside the club wants. Longstaff for me is a good rotation player. I think he is a good rotation player. I think, to be honest, at times I think he is probably a bit of a scapegoat. I don't think he's anywhere near as bad as people make him out to be. Do I think he's worse than Tonali, Joe Linton, Bruno, and even Willock? Yes, but again, that's high standards. Like, Longstaff's quite good as a rotation player. Yes, I would keep. Then again, no, he's a homegrown talent, so if you sell him, it's pure profit. So it kind of goes both ways. But in my personal opinion, in terms of your contract, yes, extend.
I mean, I look at it from the business perspective as well. So even if you class him as an asset, you would think you'd give him another contract and sell him, because you're not going to get as much 6 months in anyway. Callum Wilson, 32 years old, injury-prone season this season. He's probably injury prone to the point to the fact that he might not be fit in terms of the January transfer window closing. What would you do with him? Would you try to sell him if possible?
Well, the thing is with Wilson, you can't sell him. Nobody's going to buy Callum Wilson. He's injured all the time. He's such a liability, and I don't think realistically, he's not going to be first choice striker anywhere. I'm trying to honestly think of a place where he'd be a first choice striker. Maybe championship level, but will Wilson want to drop to the championship? Probably not. For me, I think he's unreliable. I love Wilson. A lot of bad luck, and also his body's just knackered.
Letting him down, isn't it?
Yeah, it is just letting him down. At the same time, though, you just can't sell him. So if he's happy sitting inside the club and knowing that he's going to be a third, fourth choice striker, then yeah, I think he is worth keeping on. But you need to buy a striker. That's what I will say. Regardless of what happens with Wilson, you need a top-class second-choice striker. Not Osula. He's still someone that's going to take a few years to get better. You want someone in that a second his side gets injured, he'll come in and do a job. We need that sort of player.
That's my thing, because obviously I've asked people today what the most important position is to strengthen. For me, if Isa got injured, that Osula is just not ready, and that'll see us drop down positions, I think. Very, very tricky. So the next one we've got here is Fabian Shaw. Now, I didn't realise he was this old. He's 33. What would you do with 6 months contract?
Yeah, he is old, 33 years old. You've got to extend it, though. You want to watch Shaw this season. Yeah, I probably don't think he's as good as last season, to be truthfully. I think Byrne probably has been the better of the two centre-halves, of course, replacing Botman with his injury. But Shaw is still good, still scores goals, still someone that is, for the most part, still a good defender. I feel like over the next 2 seasons, he will regress. I think he'll be a bit similar to Trippier, where again, you look at Trippier this time last season, I think he started to drop off around this time, but a few months before, and he was still phenomenal. Now he's just a different player. He's slowed down quite a lot. Probably be the same as Shaw. I think once you get younger strikers going up against him, he's probably going to struggle a lot more. I'll still keep him for an hour, yeah, but again, you're probably going to need a Shaw replacement, to be honest.
He deserves it, I think, for what he's done for the club. But Jamal Lascelles, 31.
Probably let Lascelles go, to be honest. He's had quite a bad ACL injury. Same with Botman. Obviously, Botman has the luxury of being much younger. Lascelles, obviously, still technically is the captain inside the club, so Eddie Howe is probably going to be the sort of guy, Eddie Howe, that will want to keep likes of Lascelles just for that squad morale. But
very loyal, isn't he, to a lot of...
Yeah, he is, but the reality, I think the thing is with Lascelles, he's probably the same as like a Dummy-esque player, where, you know, he's going to be in behind the scenes, he'll be someone that's good to have around. But the reality is he's never going to play. So for me, probably not. I think you do have to let some players off the books. Lascelles, I think, has been here 10 years now, has he? It's a long time for any player. So in my personal opinion, I think it's the correct time to move him on. But I wouldn't be surprised if Eddie Howe offers him a 1-year extension.
Yeah, and then we've got Emil Kraft. Now this is Mr. Versatile. He plays loads of positions. Happy sitting on the bench. What would you do with him? 30 years old.
Okay, I'll definitely keep Kraft. You know, I rate Emil Kraft quite a lot. I know a lot of people are quite mixed about him on social media. Again, not every player is going to get in your start 11. Kraft's not there to be in your start 11. He's there for a rotation player, someone that will come in for injuries, play right back, play centre back. I mean, he's good. He is good. I remember when he first came in, Kraft, he was so bad the first couple of seasons, and then he just got a lot better than these. So, yeah, I don't think it's worth staying around as a squad rotation player. I would offer him at least one more. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, especially if we get European football, we're going to need more bodies and stuff like that. So definitely. Then Dubravka, 35 years old. possibly, well, he's still classed as number 2 at the minute, because I thought when Pope got injured, the Greek guy might step up or something like that. It seems he is number 2 under Eddie Howe. What would you do with him? What do you think the club will do with him?
But it's always a tricky situation with Dubravka because he is our active goalkeeper now. I think it depends on results because he first just came in 3 good performances from Dubravka. He's not had an awful lot to do, but I don't think he's done anything wrong since he came back, and I think he's better at kicking the ball than Pope is. He's a lot calmer with the ball at least.
That's one thing I'll ask you as well, because a lot of fans I've seen on comments and stuff like that will say the defence seem a lot stronger and a lot confident when it's Dubravka and stuff like that. Well, obviously, no, like you've alluded to there, Nick Pope comes out like a maniac sometimes. He worries me. Do you think do you think there's any truth in that the defence are a little bit more comfortable with Dubravka?
Well, I think Dubravka's a lot better with his feet, so I think he's more comfortable playing the ball around. The issue being is that Dubravka hasn't faced an awful amount of shots yet. He had a few against Ipswich, had a couple against Brentford. I think when it's a team like Villa, Tottenham, Man U, whichever one it may be over the next few weeks, once he has a lot of shots faced at him, once he has to save him, you're talking every 5-10 minutes or so, then I think he'll probably crumble a bit. I don't think he's the greatest shots that were out there, so we'll see. I hope I don't jinx anything there. For me, what would I do with Dubravka? I would probably sell him as soon as possible. You got a chance this window to make some money from him. I was very surprised you could make any money from this guy, so even if it's a minimal fee, it's do something, and I think if you are able to get potentially £1 million in for a 36-year-old goalkeeper, you would say yes to that. So Dubravka, obviously thank you for what you've done, but personally for me, I'll probably sell him if I had the chance to do so now.
Is that because you're confident of the Greek guy stepping in and being an alright number 2?
Well, Newcastle would need to buy a goalkeeper as well, to be honest, if we were to sell Dubravka, and from the sounds of it, they still seem quite keen in Trafford, so...
What's your thoughts on him? He's very young, he's got a lot of potential, but do you think he's ready for Newcastle?
Well, the thing is, with by Trafford, you just know you'll come straight into the start 11 when you. I don't know, they're not keen on Vlak Medimos, are they? That's the issue for me. I quite like him for Greece. He seems to be a good goalkeeper for Greece, but whatever it may be, I don't think Eddie Howe wanted him in the first place. Obviously, again, there's PSR issues meant that we had to buy him and get rid of Anderson. So Newcastle didn't want this goalkeeper at ECR now, but I don't think he's that bad now. Again, I've watched him for Greece. He's not that bad for Greece. He's really not. I don't know what it is. I just don't think the club seem to trust him. I still feel like we should be trying to give him a chance, but
he's young though. If you look at the rest of the goalkeepers, we've got Ruddy 38, we've got Dubravka. You think he's one that might stick around, develop and improve and stuff like that as well?
I just don't think the club wants him. We would have played by now if the club's trusts in him, and again it wasn't the case that the club bought him in the first place. It was just his PSR background, so we would need to buy a new goalkeeper for Saudi Dubravka, and then that issue being that you're making £1 million to a goalkeeper and you're spending 20 on a new one. But Dubravka's 36 now. He's at old. He will continue to get older. I don't think we should keep a hold of him. I think we need to let him go as soon as possible. Might get a bit more money out of him. He makes a few good more performances, I will say. So
window, yeah.
Yeah, he might potentially get a few more quid in them. So let's see how he does today. Let's see how he does next couple of weeks. But personally, for me, I would sell him.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. There we go.